We have breaking news. Mitchell Robinson apparently will miss the rest of the regular NBA season for the New York Knicks. Mitchell Robinson had ankle surgery last week, and we thought he was going to miss maybe up to 2 months, 3 months. But unfortunately, as they looked at his ankle and the timetable again, they decided that it's likely Mitchell Robinson may miss the entire rest of the regular season. We're going to break down this devastating news and so much more today. So be sure you're subscribed to the channel and have notifications turned on so you don't miss a second of the new content. And now, let's get started. Mitchell Robinson is out for the season. If you're shocked, join the party because so am I. As we mentioned, Mitchell Robinson hurt his ankle, had surgery on the ankle, and as we all knew, Mitchell Robinson was set to miss 2 to 3 months, maybe a little bit longer as he had to be ramped back into playing shape. But we didn't think he was going to miss the season. We at least thought he was going to be with us to close out the season and into the playoffs. Well, unfortunately, according to Shams of The Athletic, that is not the case because the New York Knicks project that Mitchell Robinson is likely going to miss the rest of the regular season. According to Shams, the New York Knicks have applied to the NBA for a disabled player exception worth $7.8 million, as the franchise projects center Mitchell Robinson will miss the rest of the season. Major development as Mitchell Robinson had ankle surgery last week. Shams continues by stating, teams are able to apply for the disabled player exception for a player it deems to be sidelined through June 15th. The NBA doctors will go through their review soon. Brutal for the Knicks and for Mitchell Robinson. This is absolutely devastating. When I first read this news, I had to double take it because I could not believe what I was reading. I read a few days ago that Mitchell Robinson was doing okay, he was fine, surgery went well, and it's likely that he's going to come back within the timetable. Nobody said anything. Then last night, after the Knicks destroyed the Nets, and I was so happy after the victory, about an hour later, I received this notification from Shams telling me essentially that the New York Knicks are losing Mitchell Robinson for the rest of the season. We're going to have to deal with Isaiah Hartenstein, Jericho Sims, and of course Taj Gibson at that center position all season. And the likely chances that the New York Knicks are going to be a very competitive team in the playoffs are a little bit less now because Mitchell Robinson is their dominating, driving force on defense. If you don't have him during the regular season, it may not be that big of a deal. Hartenstein, Sims, and Taj may be able to get the Knicks to the playoffs. But once you get to the playoffs, teams are going to turn it all the way up. And once they do that, Mitchell Robinson and him being missing on the New York Knicks is going to be apparent in a very obvious way. And we don't want the New York Knicks to have to deal with that. But the unfortunate part is it seems very likely that that's going to be the case. However, I want to give a few more updates on what this situation means for the Knicks and Mitchell Robinson. Shout out to Jeremy Cohen. He gave us the following update regarding Mitchell Robinson, the disabled player exception, and how the New York Knicks can potentially use it. This is brutal. The DPE is worth half of Mitch's salary. The Knicks have to stay under the hard cap of $172.3 million because of the DiVincenzo signing. Any player they acquire via a trade with the DPE has to be on an expiring contract, and the exception can only be used on one player. Bondi continues by stating, the Knicks never disclosed Robinson's injury, but he's heard it was a fracture and required the insertion of screws. Fred Katz also gives us the following update. If the NBA grants the DPE to a team, that player can still return if he gets better ahead of schedule. But the league's doctors, not the Knicks, are the ones who determine if Robinson is more likely than not out until June 15th or later. Shout out to these NBA insiders for giving us the following updates on Mitchell Robinson, the disabled player exception, and the way the New York Knicks can potentially use it. But as we saw there, the main update that I took away from that right there was from Steph Bondi, who indicated that he heard the New York Knicks center Mitchell Robinson had the insertion of screws during surgery. I never heard that. There was never a report about that. That was never mentioned. That is absolutely significant and serious if that's the case. But some good news here is that if Mitchell Robinson somehow miraculously gets better before the playoffs or before the close of the regular season, he can still come back. The only people that have to determine whether or not that's going to be the likelihood is the NBA and their doctors. That's the only thing. That's who determines if the New York Knicks gets this exception. But once they get it, if Mitchell Robinson returns faster than necessary, absolutely the New York Knicks can get him back, use him, and put him back in the lineup. If that's going to happen, that's anybody's guess. If you're asking me, Mitchell Robinson has been injured basically each and every year of his career. And each and every time he's been injured, he's never come back sooner rather than later. He's either come back on time or well after the fact. So I think we can expect the same here with Mitchell Robinson. And according to Ian Begley, this significant injury that the New York Knicks are faced to deal with are going to force them to make a move. According to Ian Begley, Isaiah Hartenstein has been filling in admirably for Robinson, but Robinson's injury will force the Knicks to make a move to bolster the front line. If you didn't know already, Jericho Sims has been sidelined with another injury for at least a week, maybe two. That means the Knicks only have two healthy centers on the roster right now, Hartenstein and the recently signed Taj Gibson. The Athletic first reported that the Knicks fear that Robinson will miss the rest of the season and their application for a disabled player exception. Begley continued by stating, the Knicks initially said after Robinson's surgery that he would be out at least 2 months. They are not sure yet if Robinson will miss the rest of the season, but a source did confirm that they have applied for the disabled player exception, and NBA doctors will now determine whether the Knicks are granted that DPE. If they get the disabled player exception, as mentioned earlier at the top of the show, it will be for half of Robinson's salary, or $7.8 million. Shout out to Ian Begley for giving us the following update on Mitchell Robinson and the New York Knicks and their future plans. It was clear, it was obvious the New York Knicks needed to upgrade talent. It was obvious they needed to make a trade before Robinson went down with injury. After Robinson went down with injury, and now this massive report indicating that he's going to probably miss the rest of the season, the Knicks front court is in desperate need of help, and they need to trade to get that help. So absolutely, at this point in time, you can check the box that the New York Knicks will be players and active during the trade season because they need to make trades for spacing, for size, and also now to help bolster up their front court because they're going to need more than Taj, Isaiah Hartenstein, and Jericho Sims at that position if they want to last for the rest of the season. Injuries are bound to happen, especially at the center position. You need to shore up and get players that can help you play there and be bigger there. And as Tom Thibodeau stated already, we might see Julius Randle play some 5 as well too, just because they need to supplement the minutes in some way. And depending on matchup, Julius Randle might make sense for that 5 spot. It's going to be up to Tom Thibodeau to decide that, determine that, and make sure he makes that change and adapts to it. It should be Isaiah Hartenstein starting, and whoever Tom Thibodeau wants to roll off the bench as the backup center, let him go ahead and do that. But that's the way the New York Knicks should move at this point in time. Jericho Sims should never start another game again for the Knicks at center. Leave those duties to Isaiah Hartenstein. But let's break down Jericho Sims and that injury just a little bit more so you can understand why the New York Knicks absolutely have to make a move, are forced to make a move in the wake of this Mitchell Robinson injury. According to Adrian Wojnarowski, Knicks center Jericho Sims is expected to miss 1 to 2 weeks with a right ankle sprain. Sims injured himself against the Lakers on Monday. The Knicks again are already down starting center Mitchell Robinson. Ian Begley states that Jericho Sims will be reevaluated in 7 to 10 days. That's why they're giving the New York Knicks center about 1 to 2 weeks in terms of missing time. Because if he's reevaluated and the doctors suggest that Jericho Sims will likely need additional time, then he's likely going to miss 2 weeks. But if he's reevaluated after 7 to 10 days and he's fine, he's going to return. That's why Woj gave us the timetable of about 1 to 2 weeks for Jericho Sims and that ankle sprain. Either way, though, this injury just helps solidify the fact that the New York Knicks cannot take their centers for granted and cannot think, oh, we have Isaiah Hartenstein, we have Jericho Sims coming back, we have Taj Gibson, we'll be fine. No, you won't be. You need to make sure you get more players at that position, more players with size that can play multiple positions for this Knicks team, depending on the matchups, because that's going to be key. Isaiah Hartenstein cannot do it alone. Taj Gibson cannot be your sole backup, and Jericho Sims is just too green to play that spot by himself. We need another player at that position, or a player that can play backup power forward and center. The New York Knicks need to focus on that player, get that player on this Knicks team, so that way we can hold it down and remain stable headed into the playoffs, and hope and pray that by the playoffs time, Mitchell Robinson will be healthy, active, and back for the team. I'm not going to hold my breath on that because I don't think it's going to happen, but I am hoping and praying for it. But what about you guys? What do you think about this major report and devastating news that Mitchell Robinson will miss the rest of the regular season? Let me know in the comments below, guys, because honestly, I would love to hear from you. But that's going to do it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, go ahead and smash that like button, leave a comment below, and of course, guys, please subscribe to the channel. Until next time, Knicks fans. Peace.